What our families did just to survive would land you in trouble with the law today. Not one or two things. 25. And these weren't poor folks' tricks. This was genius. This was Sunday dinner stretched all the way to Wednesday on one paycheck. This was a child raised by a whole street full of people who knew his name. One of these 25 they fought so hard to bury that doing it today can cost you jail time, even though back then, it brought more of our babies into this world than any hospital ever did. I spent weeks with community stories, old church cookbooks, and the comment sections of dozens of these channels. Because everyone we remember today doesn't get lost, and everyone we forget goes in the ground with us. For years, they made us believe these ways belonged to people who didn't know any better. But the doctors and scientists of today are only now catching up to what our grandmothers already knew by heart. And it all started where everything of ours started, in the kitchen, with the radio down low and something good on the stove. In the kitchen, yes, but the food started long before the skillet, out in the backyard, down at the river, at the neighbor's screen door. It was knowing, and that knowing today runs right into the law. Trick 1. Backyard chickens. First thing you remember is the sound. Before the alarm clock, the rooster called the whole street awake. Out of the coop behind the house came breakfast, eggs still warm in your hand, gathered by a child barefoot in the morning dew on the way to school. They cost nothing. They were yours. But once the neighborhoods modernized, the city pushed the chickens right out of the yard because of too much noise and too much smell. Today that takes a permit, and plenty of places it is flat out banned, while folks pay top dollar for the free-range eggs we already had out back. Did you keep chickens? Trick number 2, hunting and fishing to eat. And when you wanted meat, it came from the woods and the river. The uncle or granddaddy would come home with a rabbit or a string of catfish, and come Friday, the whole block smelled like fish frying in hot grease. That wasn't sport, that was supper. But today, without a license, that's poaching. Trick number 3, the candy lady. Every block had her. No store, no sign, just a kitchen and a gift. They called her the candy lady. Frozen cups, she froze herself in little paper cups. Pound cake, pralines, tea cakes still warm from the oven. On Fridays, hot plates, fried chicken and greens for a few coins. Children knocked on her door with whatever they had balled up in their fist, and not one walked away hungry. She paid her rent off that cast iron skillet. Today, she'd be breaking the law. Selling food you cooked at home falls under cottage food laws. One mom in Texas got hit with a $700 fine for selling tamales to her neighbors. $700 for tamales. But used right, those same laws will let you start one legal from home today. Trick 4, canning and preserving. And what summer gave you, you didn't waste. The women spent all August at the stove, mason jars lined up on the counter like little soldiers. Peaches, green beans, tomatoes, chow chow. By October, the pantry was full, and come winter, you ate just as good as you did in July. Putting it up for your own family is legal. Selling it isn't, because of botulism. Trick 5, foraging the neighborhood. And when everything else ran short, the neighborhood carried you. The fig tree in Miss So-and-so's yard, the pecan tree on the corner, the blackberries in the empty lot. Nobody put a lock on a tree. Today, picking fruit in a public park is restricted. But think on what we ate, in season, fresh, not one label. They made us feel like that was poor folks eating. Today it's got a fancy name and they write it on a prescription pad like a big discovery. We called it Tuesday, and that was only half the battle. The other half was money. When money was tight, and it was almost always tight, our people didn't sit and wait. They made, they sold, they saved. And a lot of that hustle today has the law watching out the side of its eye. Trick 6, moonshine and corn liquor. Let's start with the boldest one. Where the steady work didn't reach, the still did. Back up in the woods, out of sight, somebody turned corn and sugar into corn liquor. Moonshine. It came out in jars, clear as branch water, and passed hand to hand on a Saturday night. For many a family, that jar put the rent on the table the month it came up short. And there's no softening this one. It meant gambling your freedom, and it still does. Federal law bans distilling at home, even for your own use. Just owning an unregistered still is already a federal crime. Years in prison and thousands in fines. What was survival to your granddaddy, they call a felony today. Trick 7, the sue issue. And when the bank shut the door in your face, and it shut that door on our people, we built our own bank. No building, no manager. They called it a sue. 10 neighbors you'd trust with your life put in the same little bit every week, and the whole pot went home with one of them. That's how the furniture got bought, how Christmas got paid for. No contract, just your word, and your word was the realest thing you had. Today, running something like that gets you into regulated territory, the IRS and all. Did your family do this? What did y'all call it? Trick number 8, children working. In those houses, nobody was just sitting pretty. The 9-year-old with his shoe shine box, the boy slinging papers before the sun came up. They came home, set what they earned on the kitchen table, proud as a peacock, because they had helped. Today that runs head-on into child labor laws. Trick 9, the lemonade stand. The sweetest version you already know. The wobbly table on the corner in July, the sign in crayon, the coins in a jar. Well, in plenty of towns that stand technically needed a permit. They've had to pass real laws just to protect children selling lemonade. A law to let a child sell a cup of lemonade. Trick 10, the one-paycheck envelope rule. But if one trick held up all the rest, it was this one. And this one you can carry home today. Money didn't live on a screen. It lived in an envelope, in a coffee can up on top of the refrigerator. When the pay came in, most weeks, one check, it got divided right there. Rent, food, the church plate, and whatever was left got tucked away. Cash. If it wasn't in the envelope, you didn't buy it. There was none of this debt we drown in today. You simply did not spend what you did not have. That wasn't being poor, that was being free. And with that money counted out coin by coin, they did something that sounds impossible today. They put up a house with their own 2 hands, without asking a soul for permission, without asking a soul. A roof of your own didn't come from signing papers at the bank. It came from sweat, from Saturdays, from the whole block showing up. And almost none of it would pass an inspection today. Trick 11, many under one roof. That house was never empty. Grandmama, mama, and them, the children, the cousin who came up from the south looking for work and just stayed. 3 generations under one roof, and not a soul thought it strange. That's how we held each other up. But today, plenty of cities use occupancy rules to limit how many can live under one roof. What we called close family, an inspector calls a code violation. Trick 12, doing your own electric and plumbing. And when something broke, you didn't call anybody. The uncle knew electric, the man next door knew pipes, and between them, they'd wire a room or set a roof on a Saturday, the radio playing. Today that work with no license or permit is illegal nearly everywhere. They had it in their hands. Trick 13, burning trash, the outhouse. Out back, the trash burned in a barrel, and the bathroom was outside, the well dug by hand. Today, burning trash in the open breaks environmental law, and a septic with no permit brings a fine. Trick 14, the front yard garden. But the real pride grew right out front. The garden. Collard greens, tomatoes on the vine, okra, the fig tree on the corner. That little patch of dirt fed the family and still had enough left for the neighbor. It wasn't decoration. It was the grocery store. And here's the part you won't believe. Today, in some places, a garden in your front yard is against the law. One couple in Florida, after 17 years tending theirs, were told to tear it out or pay $50 a day. A woman in Michigan was threatened with 93 days in jail for growing vegetables in her own yard. Jail. Over a tomato plant. And today those same folks pay double at the store for organic and farm to table. We just called it the backyard. Trick 15, the house built by hand. And all of this happened under a roof we so often raised ourselves. A house built board by board, the whole block pitching in, and not one paper signed. Today, building or adding on without a permit breaks code nearly everywhere. A fine, even in order to tear it down. But ask anybody who grew up inside one of those houses. Those walls held laughter and hollering, Christmas mornings and homegoing wakes. They were raised by people who never once waited on permission to put a roof over their children. And under that roof, when somebody took sick, nobody ran to the hospital. Because there was another kind of medicine. One that today, in several states, can cost you your freedom. Another kind of medicine. Because the first stop was never the doctor. It was the kitchen, the pantry, your grandmother's hand on your forehead. And a lot of that today runs into the law. Trick 16, castor oil. Near about all of us remember the same move, pinching your nose shut and squeezing your eyes tight. Because here came the spoonful of castor oil grandmama kept on the shelf for whatever ailed you. It tasted like punishment, and it worked. And here's what nobody tells you. That same castor oil is still approved by the FDA today as a laxative. One of the very few old remedies official medicine still stands behind. Your grandmother wasn't guessing. She was right. And the government's own papers say so. Who in your house held the spoon? Trick 17. The pantry was a pharmacy, and the castor oil was just the beginning. Honey and lemon for a sore throat, a raw onion tied to your chest, or the blue jar of Vicks and a sock pulled over it to break a fever. Garlic for near about everything. Baking soda for a bee sting and for your teeth. Cocoa butter, shea, a little dab of blue magic for your skin and your hair. Today the science is coming around to a lot of it. We know honey calms a cough better than half the syrups on the shelf. What they called an old woman's remedy is showing up in the studies now. Trick number 18, medicine off the counter. And what the kitchen couldn't fix, you bought at the drugstore. What you bought with a couple of coins now takes a doctor's signature. Trick number 19, the church and community. But the strongest medicine wasn't in any bottle. It was in the people. The church mother who laid hands and prayed over the sick bed. The neighbor who sat up the whole night so nobody had to suffer alone. It didn't always cure the body, but it healed something deeper than any pill has ever touched. Those folks knew what we keep forgetting. Nobody heals alone. Trick 20, the granny midwife. And that brings us to the biggest secret of all. The one I promised you at the start. The one they fought with everything they had to erase. There was a time when a baby came into this world in our communities, not in a hospital, but at home, in the front bedroom, by lamplight. And the one who brought that child wasn't a doctor. It was her, the granny midwife. The one who came with her little black bag at any hour, in any weather, and boiled the sheets clean on the stove. She knelt down by that bed and with her own two hands caught life as it came for $2 or $3, or a laying hen if that's what the family had. In the South, these black women delivered as many as 3 of every 4 babies born. Whole towns, black and white, came into this world in their hands. And then, little by little, they erased them. Between the 40s and the 80s, state after state pushed them out with licensing laws and ugly campaigns that painted them as dirty and backward. In Alabama, one single rule put 150 grannies out of practice almost overnight. Today, catching a baby without a license is a crime in several states. But here is the vindication. The science of today is finding that where there are midwives, fewer mothers die and fewer babies die. Everything those grannies knew in their bones and their hands, the studies are only now catching up to. They were never behind. They were ahead. They always were. Those women brought the whole block into the world. And those children? They got raised by something just as powerful and just as illegal today. The whole block. The whole block. Because our children weren't raised by one house. They were raised by the whole street, every porch, every kitchen. And almost everything that meant would put the state at a parent's door today. Trick 21, the latchkey kid. Start with the picture so many of us still carry. The house key on a shoestring around your neck, tucked under your shirt. The latchkey kid, 8 years old, letting yourself in after school, fixing your own jelly sandwich, minding your little brothers and sisters till mama got home worn out from work. That wasn't neglect. That was trust. Today, that can bring a neglect investigation. What was growing up for us ends today, with social services at the door. Trick 22, out till the streetlights came on. And when we weren't in the house, we were outside, no grown-up hovering, no fear in us at all. One rule and one only, be home when the streetlights come on. We ran out the screen door at sunup, covered the whole neighborhood on foot, played till the sky went purple, and walked ourselves to school from 6 years old. Today, letting a child walk alone has put parents under real investigation. One family had their children, 10 and 6, picked up by police just for walking home from the park. A whole state had to pass a law just to let a child play outside. A law. To let a child be a child. Did the streetlights call you home too? Trick 23, riding in the back of the pickup. And how did we all get where we were going? Piled up in the back of the pickup. Every cousin we had, wind in our faces, headed to the lake or to church. No seatbelt. Holding tight to each other and laughing our heads off. Today, in a lot of states, a child in the bed of a pickup is a sure fine. The best ride of the whole summer now gets you a ticket. Trick 24, the whole block corrected you. And if you cut a fool 6 houses down from your own, you didn't wait until you got home for your whooping. Any neighbor on that street, Miss Johnson, your best friend's mama, could set you straight right there. And by the time you got to your own door, mama already knew because somebody had got on the phone. One street, one rule, one respect for your elders. Today, that same neighbor could be looking at a call to the authorities. What kept us walking straight today gets looked at sideways. Trick number 25, raised by the whole block. And all of it together was one single thing, the one we have truly lost. You ate at any neighbor's table without calling first. If your mama came up short that week, the lady next door filled your plate without a word. Nobody signed a thing. Nobody called a soul. The whole block was one big family, and every child belonged to all of them. That's why not one got lost, because 100 eyes were watching at once. That one didn't die by any law. Not all the way. It slipped away quieter than that, the day we stopped knocking on the neighbor's door. And of everything we've remembered today, the food, the money, the roof, the medicine, this is the only one that needs no permit to come back. It just needs us. Remembering. Every one of these 25 will live exactly as long as one of us is here to tell it. So you tell it. Down in the comments, give me just one. Which one did they do in your house? The candy lady on your block, your grandmother's garden, the street lights calling you home. Write it down with your age and your hometown so it never gets lost. Because if you think this was something, wait until you see what our families down south did just to keep from starving when the whole country fell to its knees. 20 survival tricks that kept them alive clean through the Great Depression. That's the one you need to see right now.